What's cracking, ladies and gentlemen? 49 coming at you another community shoutcast for the AGI Gaming Dota 2 National New Zealand Tournament, loading into game number 2 of Yolo Brand Swagitronics, my apologies, up against the Mana Party. Looks like they've renamed themselves Curry Puffs +4. This time, Mana Party have first pick, banning out the Doombringer. They're banning out Batrider, and for very good reason. Curry Puffs over the offlane Batrider was able to completely destroy the enemy team. Got a double kill on his own up against the defensive tri-lane of the enemy team. Lycanthrope being banned out by Mana Party. They're fearing that Death Ball push power. Doombringer being banned once again. Tidehunter being banned out as well. They don't want to have to deal with that Gypsy Fish, that watermelon that walks up and ravages you and keeps hitting you with a heavy bit of metal. So far, in terms of top tier heroes, I've got the Tenko still in the pool, Invoker, Pandarian Brewmaster, as well as the Faceless Void. Faceless Void has occasionally been first picked as an offlane hero by teams such as AGI, just to utilize the fact that Faceless Void is very difficult to dislodge from a lane, and even harder to kill if he's on point with his time walks, if he plays very safe and he's able to get a safety ward off. This time they're choosing to first pick the Darkseer. Darkseer, a hero that has kind of fallen off from the competitive scene just because he requires too much to get going, similar to a Wind Ranger. While he is a very competent offlane hero in the sense that you're not going to kill him and he can find a fair amount of farm, he can't really go for teamfight engagements until he's level 10, level 11 when you have your maxed out vacuum, when you have your level 2 wall, since level 1 wall doesn't do enough in these early engagements, and you usually want to get a mech up as soon as possible if you even want to think about committing for fights. Darkseer is a hero that takes too long to get going. Compare that to a Clockwork Goblin who at level 6, if he finds a hero on his own, he can hookshot to them, cog, battery assault and smack him down. Compare that to the Tidehunter, who at level 6 can instantly take team fights with the Ravage, and who has the comeback mechanic of being able to stack Ancients and clear them out. Darkseer also can recover by going to the jungle, so you can completely sack the offlane if things fall apart. Nature's Prophet being picked up this time, so he's going to be used as an offlaner. Ancient Apparition being picked up once again, and for good reason. Ancient Apparition was able to cause so much ruckus in that last game just by providing the huge amount of damage from the Chilling Touch, as well as the Ice Blast that were completely on point, landing 2 3-man Ice Blast, completely mitigates the effectiveness of squishy heroes such as a Shadow Shaman who could die at the very start of engagement if you throw out one more spell at them. Second pick coming out from Mana Party. It'll be interesting to see who they decide to pick up, given the fact that Curry Puffs +4 or Yolo Brand Swagitronics have already given away a bit of information. They've got their secondary support hero with the Ancient Apparition, and they have their offlaner with the Nature's Prophet. You could also choose to run it as a jungling Nature's Prophet if they want to be super greedy. This time they decide to pick up a Faceless Void, so they're going to give Shepathalon a taste of his own medicine. Third ban coming out from Mana Party. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to ban out. Could be banning out heroes such as the Witch Doctor that work very well with Faceless Void or against Faceless Void, just because if you don't chrono the Witch Doctor every single fight, he could drop the Death Ward and force you out of your own chrono, or at least make it a trade. Lich can also be banned out as well, but most likely they want to pick up the Lich. We could be seeing a Lich ban coming out from the enemy team just to be able to prevent that teamfight combination, especially with the Darkseer vacuum on top of that. So a huge amount of teamfight presence coming out from the Mana Party, but you have to keep in mind they have to work around their ultimates, and that's something that the draft from YBS has an advantage. The Nature's Prophet, you could simply avoid fights by teleporting around the map. They instead ban out the Vengeful Spirit. Bit surprising they chose to ban out the Venge. I guess Venge is an effective counterpick to the Nature's Prophet, since you could scout him out with the Howler to spot him when he blinks in the trees and swap him out so the rest of your teammates can come in for the kill. Vengeful Spirit also has been significantly buffed in the latest patch, so her Vengeance Aura, when she dies, applies a negative Vengeance Aura to the enemy team. 10 seconds remaining. Can actually prove to be quite effective, and means that Vengeful Spirit has a lot of flexibility with her build. Invoker now being banned out. Invoker also is a great hero to counteract the Faceless Void if he goes for the Quas Wex build, since if you don't chrono the Faceless Void, he can simply throw out the Tornado and then would follow up with the EMP. Viper finally been banned out. Very surprised I've been seeing so little Viper. He's currently this meta games Outworld Destroyer. Zeus actually being picked up by YBS. It could be a mid Zeus, or it could be a support position Zeus. This is something that Cloud9 have revolutionized, using Zeus basically as a D-warder. Walks in with 1 point up in the Lightning Bolt, uses the D-ward, and he can provide a massive amount of burst damage, especially in concert with the Ancient Apparition and the Nature's Prophet. If Zeus goes mid, it's a huge amount of global ganking presence you have. It's just an execution lineup coming out from YBS. You have Thunder God's Wrath, follow up with the Wrath of Nature, and then the Ice Blast on top of that. If you land all three, you can pretty much kill any hero on the map. They counteract that somewhat with the Next Assassin. All he has to do is press E and walk up to the Zeus. Spectre being picked up, so a huge amount of global ganking presence coming out from YBS. They really have been showing off their YOLO swag the past game, especially with this draft. So Mana Party, they're definitely reading the draft. They know what's in store for them, especially with the Haunt on top of that. It'll be interesting to see how they choose to respond to this. Since the only hero left to pick up is the secondary support hero to work in concert with the Ancient Apparition, but at this point they could pick up almost any support hero. Could be seeing something like a Shadow Shaman, would work very well with the Ancient Apparition. The Ancient Apparition can lead with the Ice Vortex, provide that little bit of a snare, so Shadow Shaman can get it in range for the Shackle. Not only that, every time you win a fight, you take two towers, one with the Nature's Prophet, two with the Mass Serpent Wards. That could be a very effective support combination, but at this point they could pick up any support hero and they'd be able to make it work so long as the support hero has a long enough initiation range or a hard CC. Jakiro being picked up by Mana Party. Looks like it's going to be a support position. Nyx Assassin, so they already have that offlane set up. Nyx Assassin can go mid, but he's a fairly ineffective mid just because he functions a lot. There's not as much he can accomplish with it as another hero can. For instance, Dazzle is an incredibly powerful mid-hero in terms of mechanics. He's got an excellent base damage, good attack point, and he's got a lot of spells that can help controlling the creep equilibrium. However, what he lacks is what's the Dazzle going to do once he goes mid? Even if he completely dominates the mid lane, he can't rotate around the map, creating space for the rest of his team. And Nyx Assassin, once he hits level 6, he wants a Vendetta around, so that leaves a vacant mid lane. So unless you have a greedy support hero that could capitalize that, like a Visage or an Ancient Apparition, you could then rotate mid to soak up some EXP. The Nyx Assassin mid is a pretty wasted pickup, so they want to decide to go for their mid pickup now. Puck has been wisely banned out by YBS, just because Puck is a hero that deals very well to Zeus. Just because with the high base damage, you could control the lane at 1, outlast him, outdeny him, force the Zeus to blow all his mana on clearing out creeps. That way he can't trade hits with you with the Lightning Bolt. And Bloodseeker being banned out, bit of a surprising ban, but instead once again they're going for the Meepo. So it could be the 4 position Zeus with the 5 position Ancient Apparition, the mid Meepo that was doing a lot of work in the last game. And they completely forgot about the Meepo pick since they instead decided to ban Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker would also work very well with this lineup just because with the execution power coming out from the 4 global heroes, that means the Bloodseeker instantly gets 3/4 thirst charges. And with that, if he has phase boots, you can't outrun him. You can't run from heaven, you can't run from an angry Bloodseeker.
10 seconds remaining.
So 5th pick coming out from the Mana Party, they're really deliberating on what mid hero they want to go for.
5 seconds remaining.
As they've got a good TA player, TA can be used to somewhat shut down Meepo, but if you don't win the lane very early on,
Reserve time.
Meepo, once he gets a few points up in the Geostrike, can simply smack away all your refraction charges and then go to town. And with the Viper ban, it's another hero that would fare very well against the Meepo, since if you go for a max corrosive skin build, not only do you mitigate the majority of Meepo's killing power, which is his poof, it also means that if he deals any kind of damage to you, or if he hits you once with the Geostrike, he's going to be snared for 3-4 seconds. It means it's very difficult for the Meepos to escape, especially if they do somehow kill you. Also means that whenever they throw out all their global abilities, every single hero that uses a global ability is going to be snared by corrosive skin. So very wise ban coming out from YBS, fearing the power of that corrosive skin. 5th pick, they're starting to sweat a bit. They're trying to run through what mid hero would work well with their lineup and at the same time deal with the Meepo. So they know that Wernson, who was the Meepo in the last game, exceptional player, was able to be very on point with his Earth Mines, knew exactly when to engage and when to disengage, and was able to pick up something like a 15-16 minute Aghanim Scepter. They had a 4 Meepo hit squad running around creating space for the rest of his team, as well as farming up a storm and pushing down towers. It'll be interesting to see what mid hero they decide to pick up, and they decide to go for a Kunkka. Kunkka actually works fairly well against this lineup just because of the fact that the Coco Rum debuff cuts all the burst damage coming out from the enemy team in half. The Coco Rum buff means that half the damage you take is delayed until the end of the Coco Rum duration, but it's non-lethal. So all the burst damage, if he times it in concert with all the abilities coming out from the enemy team, it cuts their burst damage in half. It means that they can stand their ground and fight. The Tidebringer crit also can be very effective in controlling the Meepo. But that being said, Kunkka has very low base armor, so if Meepo is able to get an advantage like he did in the last game, he could easily tear Kunkka apart with the 1 base armor. Just going to quickly introduce the players from both teams. We've got Ledurp, once again the mid lane Kunkka, Magma on the off lane Darksail once again. The Bud's going to be the Jakiro 4 position role, the 5 position role, Calm Your Tits Love on the 4 position Nyx Assassin, and Mr. Popo on the Faceless Void over for the enemy team. Curry Puff's going to be the off lane Nature's Prophet, starting with boots as well as a safety wall. Very safe build coming up from him. Pengu, who's going to be going mid as the Zeus. So it looks like it's actually going to be a support position Meepo this time, in concert with the XL, who's the Ancient Apparition. We've got Shapathalon this time up on the Spectre. Played an absolutely fantastic game on the Faceless Void. I think it was a perfect game for him. No deaths. Got almost every single last hit, as well as the neutral camps that his teammates stacked for him. So Zeus going mid. up against the Kunkka should be a pretty interesting matchup. Kunkka actually does a lot better mid than most people recognize, just because the Tidebringer crit enables him to deny much more effectively than the enemy hero. Similar to a TA with Refraction. The Bud's pushing up. He's going to place a very aggressive Observer Ward in the mid lane. But it looks like once again Ledurp not bothering to block the creep spawn, or to at least try to delay the creep wave. Amateur mistake coming up from him. You always want to control the creep wave at level 1 right when it's spawned, since if you have the high ground advantage, especially with a hero like a Zeus, you can simply sit back and farm using the Arc Lightning. It gives you a massive advantage at level 1 and level 2. Haste Rune picked up by Curry Puff, so he's now got basically a free level 2. There's no way they could dislodge him from this lane at the moment, especially with boots. He's placed a very... it's a very unconventional safety wall he's placed. Usually you want to place it to provide some vision over here as well, in case if they happen to go the long way. But that being said, excellent safety wall that provides... excellent unconventional safety wall, because it provides you vision of when they're pulling, so you know when you can play a bit more aggressively. And once again, you see the impact of being able to block creeps at level 1. Ledurp, he's not getting anything, while Pengu has all the time in the world and all the space. Since it's a lot easier for him to zone out, especially as a melee v range lineup. You want to be able to creep block as much as possible. Pengu gotten every single last hit so far, as well as 2 denies. This is with a Zeus who has one of the worst attack animations in the game. Never mind, right to say that he's missed one. So Pengu's going to be farming up a Storm. Probably wants to be going for Arcane Boots into Blink Dagger as soon as possible, since Blink Dagger gives you a massive range to be able to use your abilities. It means you can hang back in fights and then jump in. Torrent's actually going to head on Pengu, so Ledurp doing what he can. But he's been clearly out CS right at the moment. One last hit with no denies. And over in the bottom lane, Curry Puff's fleeing for his life. Nyx Assassin Impale misses. He turns around, throws out a few cheeky right clicks in the Bud. And the Buds actually went for Dual Breath at 1 as opposed to Ice Path. Interesting builds coming out from the Mana Party. Magma, meanwhile, hanging very far back. Hasn't dropped a safety ward. And that's the reason why he's playing so scared. And even if he does drop the safety ward, Wernson came prepared with sentries up on him as well as the smoke. And this time he's skilled Earthbind at 1, so the Earthbind ensures that the Cold Feet will proc if they time it in concert. The Derp copying a lot of damage, could be eating a Thunderbolt to the face as well. Never mind, he's designed to hold on to his mana. He's got 1 point up in the static field, so that means that every time he uses the Q to farm, Ledurp's taking a little bit of harassment. The Bud's being driven back by the Treants, while Mr. Popo doing what he can to find some farm, but the creep equilibrium is being pushed far forward, so this means Curry Puffs is a free wave of experience as well as gold. You can't go on him, especially with boots, unless you're able to perfectly time your CC. But considering the fact that there's a safety wall, he knows that one of the supports are pulling right now, so he knows he can play a bit more far forward. Buds walks up now, actually whiffs his Dual Breath. That's a huge investment of mana being blown by the Jakiro. Dual Breath has cost a massive amount of mana at level 1 sec. In some builds, you actually choose to completely skip it, or keep it at level 1, just because it does chew through so much mana, and having more points in Ice Path makes it a lot more effective. Chose to go for Liquid Fire at 2, so he's going for a pretty traditional build. Clarity instantly being cancelled, so he doesn't have enough mana for a Dual Breath, or if he does use it, he'll be completely dry. Curry Puffs, now with the Creep Wave just in front of his tower range, is able to get a huge amount of EXP. You always want to keep the Creep Wave just in front of your tower range, since once the tower gets involved, your tower is going to out-DPS your Creep Wave, and that means that the next Creep Wave pushes far forward, closer towards the enemy. Leaves you a lot more exposed. That's why Nature's Prophet's such an effective offlane hero, because he could create his own creep wave to camp them just outside the tower range around here by summoning the Treants. He could use that to delay time until his creep wave arrives, and that means that he gets another free wave experience. It's one of the reasons why Nature's Prophet is such a powerful offlane hero, especially, and another hero is comparable to that is Lone Druid, just because he could do the same thing with his bear, as well as leeching the creep wave back at 1. Pengu in the mid lane, farming up a Storm. Shepath alone once again actually goes for a kill attempt on Magma. I was able to catch it this time. The Earthbind mitigating the Surge. And the safety ward instantly being dewarded. When you're playing against players, a lot more experienced players, you always want to go for unconventional safety wards. If you placed it perhaps here or there, he'd be a lot more unlikely for it to get dewarded. Or if it is dewarded, at least forces them to commit 2 sentries as opposed to 1. You want to waste as much of the sport's time, as much of their gold as possible. Pengu in the mid lane, off to a fantastic start. Although then again, Kunkka has recovered quite nicely. 14 CS for 2 now. But once Pengu hits level 6, he could have that global ganking presence just by pressing R. He doesn't even have to leave the lane to be able to gank, whereas Ledurp actually copy a lot of damage to the Thunderbolt coming out from him very shortly. There you go. And with the recent buff, actually Pengu could choose to go for a kill if he had enough mana. It drastically increases the range for your Thunderbolt to 925. If you're able to blind, since you can now blind fire the Thunderbolt, and it gives you a lot more range. But while you say that, Ledurp actually catching up the Torrent. Very surprising to see that he chose to go for the pub star build. Didn't go for the YYF build where you go for 2 or maybe 3 points up on the X marks the spot. You go for 3 points in the X marks if you want your Ghost Boat to land, since otherwise if you use X marks the spot and Ghost Boat and Torrent, all 3 will land at the same time. Whereas if you go for 2, it ensures that your Torrent will land. But while I say that, Ledurp's going to be taking a fall. Great body blocks from Pengu. and he gets a free kill. Looks like he's actually choosing to go for treads with the Bella Giant Strength, or maybe he's deciding to rush the Necro Book. Very interesting build order. Never mind. Looks like he actually sold it. No, he dropped it. Yeah. So it looks like Zeus is either going for treads, which would be very questionable considering the fact that Arcane Boots is a lot more efficient on the Zeus, or he's choosing to rush the Necro 3, which could be working very well considering the fact that Nature's Prophet also Bella Giant Strength, but most likely going for the Admiral Bulldog build, treads into Maelstrom into Blink Dagger, and then you can build whatever the hell you want from that point. Magma, he's been zoned out a lot more than Curry Puffs. Curry Puffs at level 5 once again. He is finding farm by utilizing his superior knowledge of Creep Wave Equilibrium. So it means that right now it's almost impossible to gank Curry Puffs. The only gank avenue that you have is going through there since he's got a safety ward. But even then, the enemy supports might assume that he has a safety ward there, in which case the only gank avenue they have is coming from that angle. It means that all Curry Puffs to do is just back away when he sees the supports missing. And he's got treads up on them, yeah, so he's gone forwards the Animal Bulldog build. Gives you a lot more earlier mid-game presence, since Nature's Prophet and the current meta has to play a lot more active. Ledurp actually doing a fair amount of work with the Torrent, so even though he went for a very pub build, he has been landing his Torrents, so he's been making it work. But that being said, the reason why you go for the X marks the spot is you never want to leave anything to chance. And if you have that Ghost Boat with 3 points up in X, massive amount of burst damage, especially considering that Ghost Boat has such a low cooldown. You can throw it out whenever the hell you want. It's a 40-second cooldown at level 3, 60 at level 1. Ancient Apparition actually choosing not to go for Cold Feet, so Ice Vortex as well as Chilling Touch. Very powerful build, especially since he knows that the Meepo double poof, especially in concert with the Chilling Touch, is more than enough magic damage to bring them down. Pengu wisely dodges the Torrent. Ledurp trying to chase him up. He's going to grab a Regeneration Rune. So the harassment continues again. Hang on a second. Oh, never mind. Just making sure that I was casting on Twitch. And while I say that, Nature's Prophet actually gets a free kill over on Jakiro. And he TPs back out. That's the execution power coming out. All Pengu has to do is press R when his teammates coordinate with him. The Wrath of Nature could be getting a kill, and never mind, he does get another kill with the Wrath of Nature as well as the Arc Lightning, choosing to max out Arc Lightning as opposed to the Static Field. This is a very greedy build coming out from the Zeus. He actually chose to go for treads. Very surprised by this build, although usually you see Arcane Boots 90% of the time. The only reason why you'd go treads is if you'd like to tread switch when you utilize your bottle, but even then, Arcane Boots is a lot more efficient, so very surprising. Build coming out from Pengu, just because Zeus, he doesn't really need a right click, and he doesn't necessarily need the HP too much. Pathlon a bit too far forward, but he's got phase boots up. Looks like he's going to go for Vanguard, and he's choosing to max out the Desolate. So it's a matter of personal preference whether you prefer treads or whether you prefer the phase boots. While I say that, once again he taking falls, Meepo is sitting there, ate that boat like it was candy and took a fall of dirt. Great recovery coming up from him. He's died twice, but he made up for it with that double kill, creating a lot of space and a lot of pressure for the rest of the team. Calm your tits, love. Going to be able to land a blind blower strike over on Curry Puffs. And a time lock, instant first hit. Time lock coming up from Mr. Popo. Is going to commit that time walk as well. Might be able to get the kill on Curry Puffs. No support rotation coming in. Never mind, actually catches him out with the Sprout. Instantly cuts his way through with the Quelling Blade. So good recognition from both players. Carapace stuns up Curry Puffs, and with the Horn, they're going to get a kill on Calm Your Tits, love. Great recognition coming out from YBS. Jetpathlon has to be a bit careful though. A lot more support has rotated. Wrath of Nature, if that was on cooldown, would be another set of kills. The Bud misses the Ice Path. Jetpathlon casually starts farming up the wave. Phase over treads, it's a matter of personal preference. Phase gives you a lot more killing power over the Spectre, but the drawback to this is she's a very squishy hero and she relies on her HP to survive. So some players swear by phase boots, others swear by treads. It's really up to other players. Since if you go for a much more active or old school max spectral dagger build, then going for the treads first is a lot more. Going for treads over phase is a lot more understandable because you have the chasing capability from the spectral dagger. Whereas if you're going for this Desolate build, going for phase gives you a lot more early to mid game presence. But like I said, it's a matter of personal preference. Some players swear by one, others swear by the other. It's really up to your kind of playstyle. Since Spectre is a very squishy hero with very low HP in the early stages of the game, but Shipathlon, he's mitigated that factor by going for Vanguard. Spectre is one of the few heroes that Vanguard is actually very good on in a small number of occasions. In this case, phase into Vanguard, especially with the start that he's had, it means that he can be very active all around the map. Pengu with a double damage rune, farming up a storm. He's going to Sentry Ward placed preventively by his allies, but he's going to eat that torrent. Ledurp's going to run in. He wishes he had the X-Master spot. Or the Ghost Person, he could have gone for that. Blind Bow Strike misses completely. Uses the Carapace. Carapace unfortunately wears off. Winston goes in with the Arcbind. Misses one, but he's able to kill him nonetheless with the Thunderbolt. Torrent catches him out again. If he committed the bow to that earlier, he could have actually gone for a kill. Winston poofing. He's standing his ground, and with another Thunderbolt, they take another kill. Pengu double kill up on him. Curry Puffs, he's been left alone up against Mr. Popo. And the thing to keep in mind, Nature's Prophet, is he right-clicks very hard. He's got an excellent animation. And now he's TPing over to the mid lane to go in for another kill on Magma. If he could land the Sprout, he lands it. That's another kill. Once throws out the Earthbound just in case. And right-clicks on Curry Puffs, able to do enough. Ion Shell actually dropped on Curry Puffs, forces him to stay away from once. He actually kills his own teammate. Bit of miscommunication coming up from them. Maybe he didn't quite get the memo. Somehow he didn't notice the fact that he's got a giant purple shell around him. But while I say that, Ancient Apparition been given a lot of space over in the top lane. He needs to get level 6 as soon as possible, just for their global ganking ladder to be really effective. It's one of the things you have to do when you have an AA on your team, unless you're snowballing out of control and getting a huge amount of kills, which in case the AA is able to find his EXP through kills. You usually want to leave him alone, have a hero rotate out of their lane, usually the mid lane, and give the AA some space to be able to find his farm. Ladurb going to be eating the Ice Vortex. Chilling Touch being popped as well. Fortunately, no follow-up snare to be able to help lock him in place to deal some damage. Faceless Void looks like he's going for a Mask of Madness rush, so he knows that he can't play greedy and go for the Midas, even though Midas is such a great pickup on the Faceless Void. Going for a very conventional build, choosing to max out the time lock, with 1 point up in the time walk and 1 in the backtrack. In the offlane position, you actually see some players actually completely forgo backtrack, but the fact that it's PRD means it's usually worth having at least 1 value point. Ladurb copying a lot of damage from the Chilling Touch, and Magma hanging around waiting the wings, but this is the issue with the Darkseer, is right now he's level 5.5 and he can't do anything. If they decide to group up as 5, Darkseer is effectively dead weight. He can maybe surge a hero, maybe do some damage with Ion Shell, but compare that to the Nature's Prophet, could TP in anywhere on the map, can throw out the Wrath of Nature to do a huge amount of AoE damage, and then can push down a wave using his trees. Darkseer just can't compete. Ghostbite actually flies out, completely whiffs, they run forward instead. Ladurb, he's got that Kokoram debuff, so they decide to ignore him. They go for Magma instead. Tries to TP out, but he's going to be taking a fall. Shipathalum stabs him in the heart. It's another kill over in the bottom lane. Curry Puffs could be taking a fall right now. Crossfire is being committed. Popo with the time locks. Time Lord coming up for him. Does a lot of damage, but it could be trading 2 in exchange for that. It wasn't able to time walk out in time. Faceless Void has a fairly slow turn rate and a fairly long caster wind-up point for his casting. So it's something that Zeus was able to exploit, quickly threw off his abilities. Bit surprised by what build he's going for. Looks like he's going for the Yule Scepter. Yule Scepter, a very powerful build up on the Zeus. But while I say that, Ladurb copying a lot of damage from Shipathalon. Walking up, continuing to hit him and bully him out of lane with that Desolate damage. Choosing to max out Dispersion, so just 1 point up in the Spectral Dagger. Bit surprising, you usually see Spectral Dagger maxed out second, regardless of what other ability is maxed out. So either if you go for a max Dispersion build, you max out the Spectral Dagger second. Or if you go for a max Desolate build, you want to max out the Spectral Dagger, just because it gives you a lot of chasing power. And because it has such a static, because it's such a powerful ability in regards to the unit walking it provides, and even the extra bit of damage. Pengu going to eat a lot of damage at Ladurb, but Ladurb has to be very careful. Zeus does more damage than any other hero in the game if he's left alone. Pengu's going to turn around. Actually, he could actually get a kill on Ladurb before he dies. Never mind, he unfortunately whiffed the Thunderbolt. And he feeds a lot of gold over to Jakiro, so that's Arcane Boots up for him. But while I say that, Blink Dagger now up on Wernson. And they're going for a kill over on Kamya Titslav. Curry Puff's is going to TP himself home. No first hit time log this time. Mr. Popo wasn't bashful enough. He's going to keep practicing that RNG. Ancient Apparition is going to hit level 6 with that creep wave. So he's just passively sitting in lane, watching his carry go for last hits. Actually, never mind, he'll be 90 XP shy. A little bit frustrating, but once he has that ultimate, it doesn't matter where he is, he can contribute to these ganks. Looks like he's on ward duty for now. Just because Meepo is a bit more item dependent than he is. So Meepo, once again, 2 points up in the Earthbind, then choosing to max out the Geostrike. Extra points in Earthbind isn't really necessary, just because it has such a massive range. You only really need 2 points for it to be effective. You can go for more points in it, but Geostrike's a lot more efficient that early on, since it greatly magnifies your damage by giving you a lot more time on target. Mr. Popo farming up, and Nyx Assassin, he's also passively winning lane for his level 6. He's been completely ineffective this game, hasn't been able to accomplish anything. That's the issue with having a 4 or 5 position Nyx Assassin, is by the time they hit level 6, it's kind of too late for them to start rotating for ganks, unless they go for smoke ganks early on. Ladurb, caught off guard by the blink. Meepo is proofing in with the Ice Pass Shadow debuff. He dies very quickly. That's a tier 1 tower in the top lane, gonna be taking a fall. Nature's Prophet summons up his trees. He's almost got his Maelstrom. If he gets the last in the tower, he's got his Maelstrom up. So 14 minutes into the game. Nature's Prophet's ready to rumble. Popo over in the bottom lane, farming up. He's got his Mask of Madness. Pengu, cheeky point booster, just give him the stats that he needs. Still a bit confused by the Treads pickup compared to the Arcane Boots, but he's been making it work. He's been playing very aggressively, and apart from that one death, has been doing very well. That Thunder God's Wrath doing so much damage. Cuts Magma's life in half with the Wrath of Nature flying out on top of that. That could be a free kill. Looks like Spectre's actually haunted him to the bottom lane to hunt down the Buds. He's tracking him down. Chronosphere has been blown over in the mid lane. While I say he actually dodges out the ice path. Spectral Dragon misses as well. Mr. Popo is also going to be very careful. Meepo actually dies in the background. And Shapathlon, buddy, that ain't your base. He finally realizes that he's in the wrong house. Actually still gets the kill with the dispersion damage. Dispersion OP. He can now just TP himself out home. And you see the rage pings coming out from the buds. He's not been having a very good game. While I say that, Pengu with a haste rune. Hunting down the dub. He's got that vision provided briefly. 3.25 seconds of vision provided by the Thunderbolt. So the reason why Zeus is a lot more powerful hero now is the fact that the only issue that Zeus has, you can juke him through trees, since he couldn't blind fire your Thunderbolt earlier, and he had difficulties in hitting heroes high ground the mid lane. But now with the addition of the blind fire Thunderbolt, not only does it increase your effective range, since you can blind fire and rely on the search AoE to be able to clip them, so it increases your effective range. It also gives you the ability that you actually can't run from heaven now. You can't juke him in trees. You can't juke him. You can't try to fog him. If he knows where you're going, he will be able to find you and he'll be able to blow you up. As well as the fact that you could also D-ward or cast it preventively when you see invisible heroes around. Shadow debuff as well as Ledub. If they had Thunder God's Wrath right now, that'd be 3 kills. Or at least 2.5. And there we go. Thunder God's Wrath just came off cooldown. Does it just a second too late. Not going to be too happy with that. It could be another kill on Ledub. But while I say that, Curry Puffs treads Molnir up on him, continuing to farm up a storm. He wants to get his Blink Dagger. He's about 1,000 gold shy. Once he has that, he has all the split pushing power in the world. Shapathlon farming aggressively in the top lane. Eats a turret. Might be eating the Ghost Boat as well. Unfortunately, no Ghost Boat, just to the range. Ice Path. Spectral Daggers himself. Doesn't Spectral Dagger himself through trees or through the edge. He's actually going to be feeding a free kill. Never mind. Pathing overpowered. He somehow jukes his way through. TP up for him, but not enough mana. And while I say that, Wernson jumps in, catches him out. He's actually going to turn around and kill the buds. He knows that with the Desolate and with the Dispersion, he's going to out-DPS him, but never mind, Magma's there to join the party. He dies to the Dispersion damage. Shapathlon feeds the spree over to the Magma right before he does, but Pengu, he's out for blood. Catches out 1. If he had a bit more mana, he could probably catch out 2 as well. Nyx Assassin forced to use Vendetta defensively. Used the carry pace a bit too early. And while I say that, in the bottom lane, Curry Puffs, meanwhile, Nature's Prophet's contribution to gank. Press R, press W, press E, right-click tower. And then further increase the gold lead for your team. The Popo's coming in to try to stop him, but 5-0 ain't fast enough. He's got no Chronosphere. Curry Puff knows this. He's going to blink on it. He's going to teleport on out there. 10,000 gold lead, 17 minutes into the game, tons of net worth. We see that once again, Shapathlon leads scoreboards, huge amount of farm up on him in terms of EXP, 10,000 EXP, which is incredibly significant, especially when there's a Meepo on the team. One of the things that is most important about Meepo is you have to win the game very early on, just because every single Meepo clone leeches a percentage of EXP. So for instance, if you have 5 Meepos, 80% of the EXP goes towards you, 20% goes to the rest of your team. So that means that it's very easy for the enemy team to out-level you, and for your supports to become completely useless. But while I say that, Shapathlon can actually solos the bots. Dispersion damage is going to be enough once again. Jakiro not been having a good game at all. Magma coming out, trying to avenge his fallen comrade. Shapathlon, actually, he used it. Oh, never mind, still got vacuum off cooldown. Yeah, he's going to be able to feed a kill. Still deciding to go for Radiance. He actually buys back. That's a mad bag coming out from Shapathlon. So with a Meepo, you have to end the game very quickly, or have such a massive lead that's almost impossible for the enemy team to recover from that. While I say that, Ledub's going to take it for one more right click. Never mind, the Shadow buff should be enough. Turning around on Magma, a lot of thunder coming out from him. Curry Puffs actually could be taking a fall. He's still sitting in the vacuum. The vacuum's doing a lot of damage, and the wall's doing a lot of damage. Illusion might actually kill him. Self versus self, and he gets smacked down by the Popo, who finally got the kill he wanted. He doesn't have Chronosphere off cooldown. Unfortunately, he's going to take a fall as Meepo smacks him down. 4-man wipe in exchange for 1. That's a tier 2 over in the top lane, and they're going to be losing, especially with 3 Meepos knocking on your door. McCann's him up on him, so he's going to be providing that utility that the rest of his team needs. So while traditionally, if a Meepo has been played as a carry position, if he does soak up too much EXP from the rest of the team, can make it difficult, just because like a Tinker who steals all the farm, or like a Miracle Naga Siren who takes all the farm from the rest of your team, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. But in this case, when you're playing Meepo as a support position, and when you're finding this many kills, the EXP steal isn't quite as important yet, since Meepo is going to be high level enough to be able to steal a huge percentage of the EXP. But it's just one of the things you have to keep in mind when you play a Meepo, decide to draft a Meepo. It's like a Death Prophet or like an Axe. You have to end the game very early, or at least try to take a Rex. But while I say that, that global execution power coming out from Yolo brand Swagitronics. Chipathlon almost has his Radiance, so 20 minutes into the game. Phase, Vanguard, as well as a Radiance. Jakiro isn't going to be able to do anything against that. Looks like he's going towards a Veil of Discord. Not a bad item, but I would have liked to see something like a Force Staff or maybe even a Ghost Scepter to keep himself alive. No, actually, no, never mind. Ghost Scepter would be terrible against his lineup. A Force Staff or actually a Mechanism would probably be the best, but looks like Darkseer's on Mechanism duty. He still does not have it. Darkseer without a mech is basically a useless hero until he hits level 10, level 11, unless you have heroes to be able to combo with his vacuum very effectively. Just gonna take another quick drink of water while there's not too much action going on. Also, notice the warding coming out from Yolo brand Swagitronics. Very aggressive warding coming out. They've de-warded any safety wards coming out from the enemy team. They've placed aggressive wards in all their usual farming spots. And off the back of that, they're able to grab a free Aegis Steam wall. They actually give it to Curry Puffs, who's actually a not too shabby Aegis carrier, just because he's the one that could going to be engaging or split pushing a lot. Wernson actually blinks himself a bit too far forward. Ghost Boat actually lands on Zai. As well as Wernsy's going to be able to smack him down, so they get one kill off the back of that. Chronos being committed, they're going to kill the Meepo. Throws out the Earthbind, trying to delay his death, but he takes a fall. So 3 kills, actually also kill Nature's Prophet in the background. While I say that, Pengu doing as much damage as he can, trying to keep himself alive. Nature's Prophet gets a kill on Jakiro. Thunder God's Wrath doing so much work, and that's the execution power coming out from their lineup. All of a sudden, they kill 5 heroes, and GG's been called. Minor Party, they've had enough. 21 minutes in. Yellow brand Swagitronics 2-0. The Minor Party, and that looks like they'll be advancing over to round number 4. Just going to be taking a quick break. Let's see what other games are still currently in progress from round 2. From round 3, sorry. I'll be right back.